well, still at home, and censored government documents outlining controversial plans to spy on unsuspecting internet users have been revealed. Top-level government officials have been in talks with the internet industry over a proposal to log and store the web activities of every Australian, even if you're not suspected of committing a crime. Then the data will be made available to law enforcement agencies around the country.
Now, the government had intended to keep this plan under wraps. However, the largely censored documents were obtained under the Freedom of Information laws, with 90% of the detail crossed out with a thick black marker. So what exactly are they hiding?
For more on this, we're joined by tech expert and managing editor of gizmodo.com.au, Seamus Byrne, and in Melbourne, online privacy expert Colin Jacobs from Electronic Frontiers Australia. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Seamus, why would the government want this information? It seems a lot of information to be collecting on every single Australian and their internet activity.
Yeah, I mean, their argument is that this would be similar to laws that are already in place in Europe, and that this is based on being able to combat terrorist activity, and that's sort of how it came to be in Europe. But I think one of the issues attached to that basic idea is that, of course, if you throw more hay on the haystack, then maybe it starts to get harder to find those needles.
Seamus, exactly what kind of data would they be interested in keeping?
This is the big question, of course, and this is why the Sydney Morning Herald kind of put out that Freedom of Information request to try to find that detail. And this is what's happened, is that we've not been told. Now, if we look at the European laws that are in place, they're sort of more based around when people have been accessing the internet, things like that. But some of the industry insiders here have actually been suggesting that they were asking for a lot more. They were asking for what is ultimately web browsing history. Now, while the government has denied that that's what they're asking for, it's ultimately a technicality that they're arguing, because if they're looking for like IP addresses, which basically means you can still find out exactly what websites people have been going to.
All right, Colin, what are your concerns with the government storing this kind of data?
Well, there are huge privacy concerns for a start. I mean, all of us use the internet for everything from negotiating sensitive business deals to sending intimate messages to loved ones. If the government really is on this fishing expedition to collect as much information as possible about our communications, we're going to end up with every internet service provider in the country having a huge database of information about everything we've done, and as we've just heard, potentially including the websites we visited. Once this database exists, there are obviously huge concerns about who might have access to it, when and under what circumstances the government might look at it, and what might happen if it somehow leaks out into the wider world. So the privacy issues are very worrying, as well as the secretive nature about which the government has gone about this.
It sounds very Cold War-ish, doesn't it? Is it even legal to spy on web users?
Well, actually, there are very tough laws in this country controlling what you can do with other people's communications. In fact, the government may have fallen afoul of these laws just recently itself when it conducted trials of internet censorship, because that involved interfering in people's internet connections, and Google have gotten into trouble as well. So it may be even possible that they would have to amend the laws regarding snooping on communications to bring in this new data collection and data retention system.
OK, Seamus, so before we go, do we know at what stage this is at? This was information obtained under the Freedom of Information. Is this something they're looking at? Or?
Yeah, so this was something that was secretly distributed to Australian internet service providers in March, and at the time they actually asked people to kind of write back to them within a month. So it seemed like they were in a big hurry, and of course if they're in such a hurry, then why are they trying to keep it such a secret?
All right, Seamus, thank you.
Seamus, the guys on the crew still want to know, is it safe to browse the web?
Yes, for now.
All right. Doesn't matter if the government's watching just their wives, right? Thank you, Seamus, and thank you too, Colin.
Off we go to the UK.